afternoon, or morning, evening, wherever you're watching. Hi. Thank you so very much for tuning in to the AllBrands show today. My name is Callie, and we've got a really great show for you today, everyone. So thank you all so much for tuning in with us. Let's go ahead and say hello to some folks that are watching. Let's see, we've got Tina. Tina says hello. Hi, Tina. Cheryl, good afternoon from Nevada. Thank you so much for tuning in. Lynn from Connecticut, thank you for tuning in. Deanna is in Hooper, Utah. Oh my gosh. Shirley is in Pflugerville, Texas. Ellen can't wait. Thank you, Ellen, for tuning in. Hope is from Woodstock, Georgia. Oh my gosh. Okay, that's awesome. Barbara Jones, hi. It's so great to see you, and it's so great to see you in the chat. Tamara from Newmarket, Alabama. Oh, awesome. Y'all, thank you all so much for tuning in. Carla from Ohio. Oh, my goodness. Eileen from Roseville, California. Lynn from Wisconsin. Oh, my gosh. Jean from also Wisconsin. Wow. Awesome. Oh, wow, you guys. Becky, hello. Hi to you. Karen from Oklahoma, awesome. Thank you so much for watching today. We've got Rebecca, from Puerto Rico. Thank you so much for tuning in, Rebecca. Oh my gosh. Mary from South Carolina. Oh, wow. Sherry from Texas, also from Texas. Wow, you guys. Oh, thank you all so very much for tuning in today. I am so excited about today's show. And Carolyn from South Dakota. Hi, Carolyn. I am so excited about today's show. We have on our show today Christine Connor from Amelie Scott Designs. And we're going to be talking a little bit about edge-to-edge quilting. I'm so excited to learn more about this. This is something that I want to know more about. I am brand new to the quilting game, so I'm really stoked for this. And tune in or keep watching because at the end we are going to be giving away not just one thing. I know we normally give away our one thing, but we're going to be giving away 3 different things at the end of our show today. So stay tuned. I don't want to spoil anything just yet. But in the meantime, while you're watching, go ahead and give us a like, comment on our video if you haven't already. If you have any questions, just some comments about how cool we are, because we are pretty cool, go ahead and drop those in there too. And share this video if you're on Facebook. And please subscribe to our YouTube channel and click that bell so that way you can stay up to date. And all of those things will enter you automatically into our 3 different giveaways. So without further ado, let's go ahead and bring in Christine Connor from Amelie Scott. Hi, Christine.
Hello, how are you? Hello, everybody.
Right. Yeah, doing all right. How are you doing, Christine?
Oh, I'm doing fantastic. I can't wait to share some stuff with you guys
and
your audience.
So if you don't know, Christine is tuning in from Dublin, Ohio. Is that right?
That's correct. Not Ireland, but Ohio.
Yes. And it sounds like a lot of folks are really excited about what you've got to show us today. So I'm just going to let you hop straight into it. And if any of you have any questions for Christine throughout the show, feel free to drop them down in the chat and we will try and get to those live. All right. So take it away, Christine.
Okay, I will. Well, I'm Christine Connor, and my husband and I are the owners of Amelie Scott Designs. And I'm also the inventor of the edge-to-edge quilting on your embroidery machine technique. And that's what I'm going to talk about mostly today. The thing that people always ask is, where does this Amelie Scott name come from? Well, I'm actually the Scott in the Amelie Scott. My middle name is Scott. And the Amelie part comes from my favorite ancestor. And so she's my favorite ancestor, not because she wrote a lot of books in the 1800s. And I was born 5 generations after her. I was the first girl born 5 generations after her. But the reason why I love her is because she became a princess. She married a Russian prince. And, not many people growing up can say, I'm part princess, and really be part princess. But so anyway, but that's why I love Amelie. And I do have a picture. Mark's going to bring up a picture. He's my producer today. He's going to bring up a picture of her. And here she is. I'm getting feed. Here she is in her being presented to the royal court. Hey, Mark, I'm feeding back really bad. Oh, there he goes. He fixed it. And I'm sorry. I was just getting a little feedback. My husband fixed it. He is just awesome. Anyway, so that's a picture of her being presented to the Russian court when she became a Russian princess. And she was lived in Virginia. Now, just to make it clear, one of the reasons why my logo is a tiara is because I never got a tiara. I never got a castle. I never got anything from her, nothing. So, I even had to buy her books on eBay. No family discount, but I still love her nonetheless. So what I want to do today, well, first of all, what I want to talk to you today is about 4 things. One is how I came up with the edge-to-edge quilting on your embroidery machine technique, because I think it's real important that you know how I came up with it, which is why our designs are so good. And then I want to show you one of the things that people are always asking me about is how do I do this with the monster, the snap hoop monster hoops from Dime, the magnetic hoops. So I'm going to show you how to do that. Then I'm going to just go ahead and give you some tips on batting and thread and a weightless quilter and just some little tips and tricks like that. And then I want to talk to you about our virtual class that we have going on, and AllBrands will be sponsoring it in August. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about that. And of course, if you have any questions at all, just type them in that chat and somebody will get that question to me and I'll answer it right away. So let's start. How did I come up with this technique? Well, first of all, I used to be a little worker bee in a quilt shop. And, and at the same time, I was kind of teaching myself on some really horrible digitizing software, how to digitize. That's one thing that's changed and has become a lot easier to use is digitizing software. It used to make me cry. But the shop owner wanted her quilts to be professionally quilted, or the samples that we made. And we always made our samples at home, and I loved making samples. Because that new fabric would come in, and I was like, I want that in my house, and I would just make that quilt up, and and then it would hang in the store, and then when she was finished with that fabric, that sample became ours. We got to keep it. So I always wanted to make samples, but gosh, that long arm quilting was starting to get really expensive. And I was having 2 kids that were going into college at the same time. They're not twins, they're 1 year apart, but nonetheless, 2 college tuitions at the same time. It's a lot of money. Anyway, so I started thinking, I knew a lot about the long arm process, and I started thinking about, I could probably digitize a design and do an edge-to-edge quilting look on a quilt. So I asked the store owner, I said, hey, if we do that, is that okay? She goes, sure, as long as it looks professional, I don't care. So I went ahead and started doing that with all my quilt samples. And I really knew, and what I did was I would make one design. I'd usually get inspired from the fabric or the sample that I was working on. I'd make one design and I would use that one design and quilt the entire quilt with that one design, connect everything together, and it looked just like a professional long arm had quilted it. It looked so much like a professional had done it that this is a funny story. One day in the shop, one of my colleagues was hollering at me across the store, and she wanted to know what design my long arm lady used to quilt my quilt. And I just kind of glanced over at her and looked at the quilt, and I said, oh, I did that. And she goes, no, this is not free motion. You did not do this. And she goes, I said, yeah, I did. I did it with my embroidery machine. And she looked at it again, and she's like, Christine, it's got a heart, it's got a butterfly, it's got a flower, it's all connected. You didn't do this. And I walked over and I said, yes, I did. Here's my start point. Here's the design. Here's my end point. Here's where they're all connected. And, she used to do the training on machine embroidery, and her mouth just dropped. And she's like, you got to show me how to do that. And I went home that night to my husband. I said, we need to write a book. So we did. So that's how, so I think that's why our designs are so well done, because we use them ourselves. I use them myself on my quilts, and I have one other lady that her name is Jenny. When she joined Amelie Scott Designs, she didn't even know how to use an embroidery machine, and I taught her all that, and I taught her how to digitize, and she helps me digitize. But the one thing she's really good at is she too is an avid quilter. So we do some things to our designs to make them very easy to use, very forgiving. And I think anybody who's done edge to edge and starts using it will realize right off the bat that, wow, this is just so simple. It's got to be simple for me. So, so before I move on, I want to show you two things just so you get an idea. I'm going to show you something small just so you can see. This is a seashell design from expansion pack 1. And what you're looking at is probably at least 2 or 3 design, maybe 2 designs connected together. But I want to show you a bigger quilt. And I'm going to actually show you the back of the quilt, because I think if I get back, you'll be able to see how it's all connected. Mark, say something. Is that good? Looks good. And you can see this is a pretty big quilt. I mean, I've got my hands almost up to the ceiling, and it's dragging on the floor. So, pull back up. All right. So, that, as you can see just from looking at that quilt, it does look like a long arm quilter. Thank you, Sharon. It looks just like a long arm quilter quilted that quilt. And that's the look you get with edge to edge designs. And thank you, Judy. What a lovely comment to say. So, but you know what? Since 2014, when I wrote the book, so much has changed. One of the things is that hoops have gotten a lot bigger these days. We have really big hoops now. This is the hoop from the Solaris. Look how big that is. When I wrote the book, the largest hoop on the market was for the Pfaff machine. And it would hold about a 13.5-inch tall design. And no other machine, except for maybe Husqvarna, had a hoop that size on the market. But now we've got these just tremendous sizes of hoops. So we've also have come up with some jumbo packs, jumbo 1 and 2. And those have larger designs in them to handle those larger hoops. So let me just explain how those sizes work. First of all, the large files in jumbo 1 and 2 are the same large size that you can use in any expansion pack. So, you know, if you're using expansion pack 5, large designs, you can use the large file size in the jumbo 1 and jumbo 2. Then for the oversize, we call it oversize, those are more for your BERNINA 800 series and your Pfaff Icon, the new Husqvarna machine, which I'm sorry, I forget the name of. And then the oversized ones are for the Baby Lock and the Brother Luminaire and the Baby Lock Solaris. The other thing that's changed a whole lot is positioning. These new machines today, they have just beautiful positioning. 6 years ago, that wasn't the case on all brands, on all types of machines. So those things have gotten a lot better. And in fact, on the Baby Lock Solaris, you got projectors and cameras and laser lights, and it's a lot of fun. It's just a lot of fun. It makes things really, really easy. So, but one of the things that I really think has just revolutionized the edge-to-edge process is a dime snap hoop monster magnetic hoop. This has just made quilting so much faster. And by the way, if you are a BERNINA owner, at my request, we now have a maxi size magnetic hoop. I talked with Eileen Roche, one of the partners at Dime, and I said, we need a maxi size for the BERNINA. And she said, but they have the jumbo. And I said, but they can't use the jumbo on edge to edge in the 700 series because it cuts off part of it. So please make a maxi hoop. And so she came through and made one. So we have them. Yay! But anyway, this hoop has just revolutionized the entire edge to edge process. So what I want to do is show you just a short little video that I put together, showing you how I use a standard template with a magnetic hoop. I am going to show you how to change the start point on a baby lock or a brother machine. And I have to show that because I too watch YouTube, and I've seen way too many crazy things about advancing to the first stitch. There's a really easy way to change the start point on both those machines. And it's just going to take a minute for me to show that to you. And then I'm going to show you the Amelie Scott snap hoop slide. So when you're doing a long column of quilting, you can just slide that hoop down to the next design. So I think we should just go ahead and roll that video right now. Well, wait, before we do that, are there any questions or anything?
Let's see. So we had someone earlier in the chat asking what size that quilt was that you held up earlier. I think it was Shirley on YouTube.
It's probably a large twin, probably about 60 something by 80 something.
And then I think
because I'm tall and my quilt.
Sorry, go ahead.
I'm tall and my quilts have to be, my quilts have to be a little bit longer because when I'm cuddled up under a quilt, my feet have to be able to tuck under.
Oh, me too. No, same. And then we have Esther over on YouTube asking, do you have batting on that quilt?
I do have batting on that quilt. And I'm going to talk about batting a little bit later.
And yes, Benet over on YouTube was wondering if they'll be able to replay this video later. And yes, for those of you that are curious, don't worry if you missed a little bit earlier on, or if you have to jump out later, that's fine, because we will be able to, you'll be able to watch the whole replay of the show as soon as we go off the air. And that's both on Facebook and YouTube. You can do both. And they are not going away. They are in our video catalog in perpetuity. So don't worry about it. Cheryl over on YouTube is wondering, what is the largest quilt that you recommend for edge to edge?
So I always recommend a large twin. I guess you could go up to a full size. And I almost hate to say this because I do, every time I say this, somebody emails me and says, I just did a queen size quilt with edge to edge. I just did a king size quilt. And, but I never have. So I recommend a large twin, maybe a full size quilt as my largest.
And then we've got Robin.
Yes, there is.
Yeah.
And yes, there is a monster snap hoop for the BERNINA 800 series. I have it too. It's over there.
Yeah, that should be on our website. Who was asking that? Robin. Yeah, Robin, that should be on our website as well. So go take a look at our website, and you can shop everything that we are going to be talking about today on a particular category page that we have down in the chat. I think some folks have put that down in the chat already. I had a thought there. The compatibility system is a little different, so it's just going to be like numbers and letters on our page. So if you are curious about, which one will fit your machine, we have a compatibility chart online. That's a whole. Go ahead and take a look at it. So yeah, Christine, I'll let you keep going.
Okay, so we're just going to show this video now. In this video, I want to show you how to use a magnetic hoop with a regular stitched out template. A template, and we talk about this in the book on page 5, a template, or in the Edge to Edge Quilting on Your Embroidery Machine book, on page 5, but basically a restart it. I want to show you how to use a magnetic hoop with a regular stitched out template. A template, and we talk about this in the book on page 5, a template, or in the Edge to Edge Quilting on Your Embroidery Machine book on page 5, but basically a template is a stitch out of where the design is going to fall within your hoop. You basically take a piece of cloth, you stabilize it with some medium weight fusible cutaway so it won't come off. And then you stitch out the design in your hoop. And then before you take it out of the hoop, you just trace around the inside with a ballpoint pen. You mark your notches where your horizontal and vertical lines are. Put a letter A up there if you're using the A file. If you're using the B file, put a B up there. And then you're just going to take it out of the hoop and use a ruler to connect and draw crosshairs in the middle of the template. These crosshairs are going to help you keep your template straight on your quilt, because quilters are very visual, and this makes it very squared up, so that when you lay it down next to a line, if it is crooked, it's very obvious. You can see that this template is very crooked. When I straighten it out, these lines help you to tell if the template is straight or not. Now, oddly enough, I'm going to just show you one more thing about this. This hoop is an 8x12, and my magnetic hoop is also an 8x12, and it is the one that I'm going to use today. But for some reason, my template, as you can see, is larger than my hoop, and that is going to be a problem. So if you ever encounter that, because you do want to make your template in a standard hoop, not in the magnetic hoop, because sometimes it will curve on the inside of the hoop. So you want this to be very squared up. So if it is too big, and this one is too big, all I did was I took a ruler and I cut off about 3/4 of an inch at the top, the bottom, and both sides. You need to do all 4 sides. Whatever you do, if I cut a 1/2 inch on one side, I have to do it on all 4 sides. So here I have a little template, and you can see it fits really nice inside my hoop now. Now, the way we use a template is there are 2 ways you can use one. One is when you're doing that first column, and that's the template is going to help you keep that first column really nice and straight. So let's assume that this is the center line in my quilt, and I have I'm going to have my first design go down that center line. So the way I would use a template is I would just fold back the fabric until I can see the stitches, place it on there so it's a 1/4 inch from the top, fold back my template, pin it in place, and then just simply hoop around my template. But today the way I'm going to use the template is I'm actually going to connect the end point here to the start point over here. So let me zoom in just a bit for you. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my template, I'm going to fold it back so I can see where the starting is, the knot, and I'm just going to place that knot right next to the end point, and I'm going to pin it in place. How easy is that? And now I can tell that my edge of because I know it's straight, I used a ruler to cut it, I can tell that that's a very nice straight line just by looking at it. I don't have to measure it. And I'm going to go ahead and pin the rest of the template in place. Pin up at the top, pin at the bottom, and then one by that starting point. Now I'm going to take it over to the machine and show you how easy it is to use a magnetic hoop with a standard template. I do want to take just a quick second to show you how to move the start point on your design, because I'm using a Baby Lock Solaris today, and you would need to do this for all Baby Lock and AllBrands machines. So I'm going to get my design out of my USB drive, and it's right here, Diamond SA, small A file, and I'm just going to go ahead and set it. Okay, and then once I've set it, I need to bring it into embroidery. Once it's in embroidery, you'll notice down here at the bottom of the screen, there is a little piece of fabric with a needle and a plus sign. That is your start point icon, changing your start point icon. You'll also notice over here that my needle is pretty much in the center of my hoop. Now, when I digitize all these designs to start on the left-hand side, and you can see that the cross is in the middle. For some reason, Baby Lock and Brother machines bring the design always in the middle, but this is no big deal because you can change the start point to where I had intended it to be. So you just press that button down here, your start point icon. You get this little grid right here, and you can see the center is highlighted, the cross is in the middle, and my needle is in the middle. As soon as I hit the left side, you probably noticed that my machine moved over, my crosshair moved over. So now my start point is in the place where I want it to be. And I'm just going to say, okay, and I am ready to stitch. When you're quilting with a magnetic hoop, the bottom portion of your hoop is going to stay in your machine the entire time you're quilting. Only your top part of the hoop will be moved and your fabric. So once you place the bottom portion of your hoop in your machine, then you want to take your fabric and you want to slide it over the top portion or the bottom portion of the hoop. Now I'm going to try and get my needle over my start point as close as I can. And then I'm going to place the top portion of the hoop over the bottom portion. I'm going to make sure it's set. Very important to make sure that magnetic hoop is set because your machine only reads the bottom portion of the hoop. So when I check it, I'm just kind of pinching the corners to make sure that it is lined up. It's real easy to do. Now, the whole reason why this template is here is to help me get the template, this piece of fabric hoop straight. Now I know my template is straight on my fabric because I took the time and I pinned it down there and I made sure it was straight. So what I like to do is I take these little rulers here and I just measure from the inside of the hoop to the edge of the template and just to see how I look. So this is 5/8. This is not 5/8, so I need to pull it over a little bit. And then I just kind of measure all the way down. My line is looking a little crooked. That blue line is looking a little crooked because I've been tugging on the fabric, but I'm more concerned with the edge of the template. And then I can measure down below. I've got 1 inch and an 1/8. 1 inch and an 1/8. That's looking really good. Then I also have these lines here. This one is on the 12 over here on the side, and sometimes I'll lay the ruler down just to see. It's not quite on the 12, so I'm going to pull it down just a little bit. There we go. So now it is on the 12 on one side, and it's still on the 12 on the other. So I use these lines to help make sure that I've got everything in this hoop straight. And that's all the template did, was help me get the fabric in the hoop straight. Now I'm going to use the positioning on my machine to get everything precise. And you can see how close my needle is to the end point, but I am going to need to thread that needle. I do not have any thread in it, so let me thread it real quick. Never get tired of watching that. Okay, so I'm going to use my positioning, which on this machine, the Baby Lock Solaris, is the move button. And I'm just going to move it just a little bit. And I'm going to test to make sure that my needle is precisely on that end point. What I want to do is I want to kiss the 2 points together, not overlap them. And voila, perfect. So if I want, I can bring that bobbin up. I can take my hand, I can pull both threads tight, and then I'm going to hold them loosely because I don't want to untie any knots. And I'm going to start the machine and let it stitch. When it stops, I'm going to trim away both those top threads. You can see how it's connected the design, and away we go. The second thing is what I really want to show you. I'm really excited about this. So what I do when I'm getting ready, when you're quilting a quilt, you're working down in columns. You're joining the one design to the prior design in front of it, or to the left of it. So what I need to do is I need to move my fabric down to the next spot over here to this connector, so I can just go ahead and quilt it. And instead of getting up and getting a template and doing all that rigmarole, all I do is I lift up my top portion of the hoop and I slide it back to where I have about 2 inches of this quilting design. So I'm slide the top hoop forward, and then I'm just going to grab the fabric on this side and on this side. I'm going to grab my fabric and I'm going to pull the fabric, and I'm just going to pull the fabric back. And you can just feel it click into place. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure the hoop is set. And I might need to come down a little bit more. Pull the hoop forward, slide it back, slide the fabric back. Make sure that hoop is set again. Now I do have a few lines here that I'm using to help keep me straight. These are my blue lines. Now on a quilt you have seams, but this first blue line I'm going to lay my ruler on it since it doesn't connect all the way down to my hoop. And I can see it's on the, make it on the 7 there. So it is right on the edge of the 7. Now I'm going to walk around to the back of the machine and I'm going to make sure that same line is also on the 7 in the back. Oh, and it is. Perfect. Perfect. I also had another line way back there. I don't know if you can see it, but I had another blue line way back here, and I checked it, and both sides are on the 14. There's a 14 on each side of the ruler, one on this side and one on this side in the back. So I just made sure that that line was the same on each line. So now you can see I'm pretty darn close again. So I'm just going to use again my positioning, and I'm going to move the needle so it's pretty darn close. Again, if you have a projector or camera, laser light, whatever you have on your machine, you use all those bells and whistles. I'm just not using them right now to show everybody how to do it. So I'm pretty close, but I'm not quite there. So I'm going to go one that way and one back. And I think that has me perfect. There we go. And the bobbin came up in a new place. And I'm just going to, again, pull the threads tight and then loosen my hand and let it stitch out. Now I'm going to trim away those threads. And you can see we've got the next design connected. And I have 2 different colors of blue thread on this, but oh well, it's just a sample for videotaping. All right, so that is how you do the snap hoop slide. You bring the top hoop forward, slide the fabric back, make sure the hoop is set, and you're quilting just like that. We say the silly rhyme so it sticks inside your mind. The Amelie Scott snap hoop slide. Woo! So in case you're wondering, do we have sound? Are we back?
Yeah, we can hear you just fine.
Oh, fantastic. Okay, so I just want to make sure. Sorry about that at the beginning. So in case you're wondering, that was expansion pack 8 that I was using. It's a design called Diamonds, and I thought, who doesn't love diamonds? So that's why I picked it.
Awesome. Okay. Somebody was asking, they had expansion packs 1 through 7. I think it was Sharon over on Facebook. She's got expansion packs 1 through 7 and was wondering if there are more. So I guess that answers her question. How many more are there, Christine?
We are up to 14, and 15 will be released in June.
Awesome.
We have over 170 designs now to choose from.
Awesome. We have a few questions. Do you mind if we go through them real quick?
Yeah, not at all. And can I just point out one more thing too?
Yeah.
We do have so Jenny, her full-time job is she is a art registrar, and what she does is catalog things. That's her thing, to catalog things and create little booklets and stuff. So on our website, she has created this design index so that you can just download it. You can peruse through all the different designs. She's got them cataloged alphabetically. She's got them cataloged by, and this is what art people do. They catalog everything by, summer sky designs, food designs, meanders. So it's just real helpful. I mean, I find it to be extremely helpful for me. So you might find it helpful too.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So we've got a question from Ellen over on YouTube, and she's wondering, I always have trouble keeping my quilt from moving when I'm trying to place the top of my magnetic hoop. Is there a trick to doing this?
Well, I think that slide trick is really going to help you because you're really not moving your quilt at all. You're kind of sliding the hoop down while the quilt is still on, so the magnet's still holding it in place. And then when you slide the fabric up, you still have the magnet kind of holding everything in place. I think that's going to help you a lot.
Right. And then we have another question from Cheryl on YouTube wondering, won't the thread come undone without burying it?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm laughing at that because anybody who's had to rip out one of my edge to edge stitch designs will tell you no, nothing's going to come undone. It's really hard.
That's great.
But we do have knots at the beginning and end. There are knots, even if I bring up the bob and the machine is still stitching a knot, but they don't come undone.
Okay. And then Marianne was wondering which design pack this one, the diamonds, was in, and that was design pack 8, you said, right?
Yes, pack
Okay.
8. That's correct.
Perfect. Perfect.
All right. Was that the questions?
Let's see. I'm seeing a few more. Rebecca was wondering, what is Christine using for marking her lines?
Well, now on a real quilt, I would never mark lines because I have seams. But on this sample here, I'm just using a regular Mark Be Gone pen. I also like these little Japanese ones. They're water soluble pencils by Clover, and I like them because they come in white, pink, and blue. So if I'm using a color, I use blue and green a lot because those are some of my favorite colors. And obviously this doesn't show up really well on blue, but the pink or the white will show up really well.
Awesome. And then someone on YouTube was wondering, what happens if you only have enough room for part of a design?
That is a great question because I can guarantee you on every quilt you do, you're going to be stitching off the quilt, either at the bottom or on the sides, because and even if you take your quilt to a long arm quilter, you'll get it back and you'll notice that sometimes part of the design has stitched off the quilt. So what I do, or what I used to do, a simple way is like when you get to that, you always want it quilted. So if you have like maybe only 5 inches left, and your design is going to hang off the bottom, well, go ahead and stitch that last design. And when you get down to the bottom, what you do is you stitch off, and then you just advance forward through the stitches until the needle comes back onto the fabric, and then start the machine up. And if you don't want to do that, you can always take the quilt out of the magnetic hoop, take it over to, if you have a regular sewing machine set up, and just kind of edge stitch the bottom of the quilt and the sides of the quilt. When you get to them, don't do it right away, but when you get to it, baste it or edge stitch it about 1/8 of an inch from the edge. That way the presser foot can go off and on very easily.
Yeah.
It's never a problem for the presser foot to go off, but it is a problem when it comes back on, because sometimes that little presser foot, it likes to slide under the top portion of your quilt, and it can be a problem. So
and then someone over on YouTube was wondering, what are these packs and books being mentioned?
We're talking about edge to edge quilting on your embroidery machine and our expansion packs. So the book has all the instructions in it, and the expansion packs are just additional designs or expansion to the book.
Awesome. And I think I think these may be all the questions that we've got. Yeah, Mary, yes, yes. Mary was just saying that you're speaking our language, making everything super easy to understand, which I agree. I
Oh,
am brand
awesome.
spanking new to all of this, and I'm just like, well, dang, all right, I gotta get a snap hoop, I gotta get a magnet, like I gotta just get in here and do this because it just looks so much. It looks like it's so easy and it's so much fun, and you get such a gorgeous finished product. Oh my gosh.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, yeah, thank you very much. So I'd like to go ahead and address all the some issues about not issues, but some tips and stuff about thread. So first of all, when I started quilting, the only quilting thread you ever used on a quilt was 100% cotton machine quilting thread. And this is, I still have a spool of it. This is what it looks like. And this is a very thick thread because if you took a regular cotton thread like you sew with, and you try it, it's not thick at all. It breaks very easily. But if I take this thread and try to break it, I can guarantee I'm going to slice my hand before this thread breaks. But that was what we were told, to always use on your for your quilting. The problem is this is a very thick thread, and you'd have to go up to like a 90 top stitch needle. So if you still want to use that, you can. But what I have been doing instead is I have been just using embroidery thread because it's beautiful. It's just the embroidery thread today is beautiful. It's very strong. Again, I'm going to cut my finger before I snap this thread. And this is exquisite embroidery thread. I put it in the bobbin, I put it in the top, and it just stitches out beautifully. Now, the one thing you have to be careful about is you want to make sure that your thread blends together when your top thread and your bobbin thread blends together. So I got a great example here of one that blends and one that didn't blend. So on the picture on the right, I took black bobbin thread and yellow top thread. And you guys, that black bobbin thread and yellow top thread isn't going to be a good choice. But I did that just to show you all the little black polka dots that show up on the top of your quilt. Well, it didn't blend well. So then I put yellow thread in the bobbin and yellow thread on the top for the left side sample, and you can see how much more beautiful it is. So you have to be kind of careful when you're blending thread. So rule of thumb, black and white, they're not going to blend well. Red and black, red and white, those combinations are not going to blend well. So let's say you're making a black and white quilt. Before you go buy your backing, decide, am I going to quilt this with black thread, or am I going to quilt it with white thread, or am I just going to go crazy and quilt it with hot pink thread? And I would probably do the hot pink thread, but let's say you decide to use the black thread on top, then you should probably get a backing that has a lot of black in it so that you can use black thread on the bobbin. Or let's say you decide, no, I want to use the white thread on top, then you should get a backing that has a lot of white in the background so that the two threads blend. Or if you want to do hot pink, just do hot pink top and bottom, and do a black backing and have hot pink thread on the back, hot pink on the front. I mean, the designs are pretty, I think, and sometimes you just like to really see them. So that's you just have to be careful about that blending. And if you ever want, and a lot of people ask me, well, can you use metallic thread for quilting? You betcha you can, but only one brand. You have to use a King Star metallic thread because that stuff is specially coated, and it just, oh my gosh, it just stitches out, like it just goes through my machine like butter. There's no looping. You don't have to put the thread across the room to stretch it out. You don't have to hold it. It just goes through like regular embroidery thread, and that's a King Star metallic thread. That comes in all kinds of different colors. So I mention that because sometimes for Christmas we like to use the gold thread, or 4th of July we like to throw in some silver or metallic, for the stuff. So needles, when I use the needles I use, honestly, are just a 75 embroidery needle. I think I use the Schmidt brand because I can get them by the hundreds. They work beautiful for me. I've used a top stitch 80 before, but for the embroidery thread and the quilting, I found that the top, that embroidery 75 needle works great for me. If you're going to go with something really thick like a cotton quilting, machine quilting thread, then you're probably going to have to go up to a 90 needle, 90 top stitch needle. So a lot of your needle depends on your thread, but I use a 75 embroidery needle. The other thing I want to talk to you about is eyelashing, because sometimes people get eyelashing on the back of the quilt, and we got a great example of two backs of quilts here. The one on the right is also the back, and the one on the left is also the back, but the one on the left looks terrible, and the one on the right looks great. So what is happening when you get eyelashing on the back of your quilt is your bobbin tension is just a little bit too tight, and it's pulling the top thread to the back side. And all you need to do is just kind of loosen up the tension in your bobbin. But some people might not be comfortable doing that, so they might need to take it into their service department and have them do it for them. If you're going to do that, just take the sample, like the sample on the. What I would do is I would just take the sample on the left. I would take it to my quilt shop and I would say, "Please fix this. I don't like it," and let them, figure out what needs to be done. But yeah, the back of your quilt should look like the right side. Should look just like the right side on that side of the screen. Now, another question I get all the time is, what batting do I use? Okay, so the batting I like to use the best is Quilter's Dream Cotton, and I like to use the request size. Basically what that is it is a low loft batting. So here I have a sample of it, and I love Quilter's Dream batting because look how perfect that is. It's just perfect. And it drapes beautifully. It's very thin. It just quilts beautifully. And I have seen batting where you would have a big clump over here and nothing here and just terrible stuff. But you want something that's very uniform when your machine is stitching through. So I use, for the twin size quilts, lap size quilts, I would use the request. If it's your first quilt ever, use the request. Now, sometimes I like to use the poly blend, and when I like to use the poly blend, I'm usually quilting a table runner or placemats, and it too is very nice and uniform, but it's a little bit thicker. It's a mid-loft batting. It's about the same size as the Select brand in the Quilter's Dream, and it's a beautiful batting. It'll puff up a little bit more, so it's really nice for placemats and table runners. But when you go from a thin loft or low loft to a mid loft, and this always blows my mind because these are the two same sizes. They're not that much thicker, but you would be stunned at how much heavier it makes the quilt when you go up from low loft to a mid loft batting. And if you're going to do that, then you probably are going to need to get a weightless quilter. And I got to talk to you about the weightless quilter. This is a neat little device. Here it is. Okay, so the people at Dime. I'm sorry. Is there a question? Oh yeah, show the wilt. Mark's going to show you the weightless quilter. So here I have it. I'm quilting. I've got it all set up, and I want you to notice that there are small poles in the front. I want you to look at the very bottom of how I've got it kind of set up. There's small poles, and then there seems to be a tall pole behind me, and that's my Texas drawl coming out. I can't say the word pole. But the Eileen at Dime and I must think exactly alike, because when I got my weightless quilter, this is part of the base, okay? And my husband says, I said, I want to set this up. And so he goes, let me go get my screwdriver. I'm like, wait, you don't need to go get a screwdriver. We got these big, huge screws to hook our base together. So the base gets all hooked together. It's like a square. And then you'll notice that there are these holes in the base, and the holes in the base are where your poles go. Let me see if I can do this without knocking out the ceiling here. They just go right in that pole. There's no screw, okay? And then at the top of the pole goes this little clampy thing, that clamps to your quilt. Okay. And like, here's one of the taller poles. I'm going to stick it in mine. I've got part of the base set up here, and you can see that this is just very flexible. Okay. So initially I was thinking, it doesn't screw in place. Nothing screws in place. It's just, this is just swirling all over the place. And I'm thinking, is that going to stay in place? It's kind of wobbly. I was really concerned, but I went ahead and gave it a shot. And ladies, as soon as I gave it a shot, I knew exactly why all that was created that way. Because let me ask you, are you really when most of the quilt is on this side, you're going to have the tall poles. When most of the quilt is on that side, you're going to have the short poles over here. Now, do you really want to get up and get down your hands and knees and screw in a pole when you switch them? You want to just be able to stick that pole in that bottom and go on your merry way. And the reason why these poles are so flexible is because when your embroidery machine is moving left and right, those poles are swaying left and right with your quilt. So nothing is dragging. And in case I may not have told you, quilt drag is when your quilt is impeding the flow of your embroidery unit. It's either by weight or hanging off the table, or it's it's just too much on there and it's impeding the flow. So the weightless quilter lifts it up and kind of rocks it above your embroidery unit so it doesn't impede the flow of the embroidery machine. And you can always tell when something is impeding the flow of your embroidery machine going left, moving, because all of a sudden your design will start looking like crap. It'll get out of registration. It'll start stitching kind of funny. So sometimes, like if you're stitching something and it doesn't look right, people will say, are you hitting your hoop somewhere? Is your hoop hitting the chair? Is it hitting a wall? Or is it the weight of the quilts kind of holding it in place? So that helps with the quilt drag. So that is that. Does anybody have any questions? I think we're kind of starting to run out of time here.
So let's see. We'll take a look and see if there are any questions. But I did just want to chime in and say that I love the weightless quilter so much. I was doing the Houston Quilt Festival when Eileen unveiled that during a broadcast that we did. And we actually, here at AllBrands, we just finished up a video on a bunch of different ways to use that beyond quilting, beyond like edge-to-edge quilting and stuff. So stay tuned for that. It is awesome. And I did just want to tell everyone that we do have it on our website. And if you go to allbrands.com right now, we have it on our website for $2.99. Y'all, the weightless quilter is totally worth it. It is so
You know exactly what I'm talking about changing the poles and just sliding them in there. And it's just so easy to switch it around real quick.
I love the way that Eileen talked about it, because I think she said something like, it's like having 3 friends hold your quilt for you while you work.
Yeah.
And it's true. It's so useful. I mean, it makes something so easy. I don't know. I didn't think that was something that we could do, but it's amazing.
You know what? When I first started doing edge to edge, I had my husband actually help me. We put the embroidery machine in the middle of the dining room table, and he would actually help me move the quilt back and forth and into the machine. If I had the weightless quilter back then, I wouldn't have had to do that.
Right? And well, we got to get innovative. I mean, I think Eileen did help create that, invent that, because she was having a similar issue, and I love that. Just, we got to make do. We got to get creative. We got to make something work. And I think that's so great. And I did just want to let everybody know. So yeah, we are coming up on about the hour mark. So we're running out of time, but please stay tuned. We are going to be giving away 3 different things. And I think we can just go ahead and say what they are now. Since we're getting so close. So we are going to be giving away our $100 AllBrands gift card as per usual, as we always do. But we are going to be giving away two books that Christine has written. And which ones are they, Christine?
So one is the original Edge to Edge Quilting on Your Embroidery Machine. It has a download code in the back with 10 designs so you can get started. And the other one is my newest book, Custom Quilting on Your Embroidery Machine. I've gone blonde, now I'm going gray. But it's got 35 designs in this book. There are 2 table runners, 4 quilt tops. And just to show you, just give you an idea, I had a picture here. See. So that's like a layout for one quilt. You can see all the quilting created this beautiful circle pattern. That's one of the projects in here. And like here's another one. You can just see we show you where all the quilting designs are placed. And, you know, if you can find the center of a square or a rectangle, you can do that.
These are incredibly useful tools. I mean, as you've seen, and as Christine has spilled just all of the knowledge that she's got, these are incredibly useful tools. So I am so excited that we're going to be giving these away. So someone was asking how they can be entered entered into this drawing. So go ahead and like this video, share it on Facebook if you're watching on Facebook. Give us a comment if you're watching on Facebook or YouTube. And if you are watching this on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe to our channel and click the bell. And those will all enter you into the running for these 3 giveaways. I'm trying to see if we have any other questions from folks. Let's see. So Heather from Queensland was wondering, would a bigger needle leave a bigger hole on your quilting?
Yes, a bigger needle will leave a bigger hole in your quilting.
Okay. And Heather, by the way, if you missed it, we did a live with oh my goodness, her name, I just completely lost it. No, it was from Smets last week.
Rhonda.
Rhonda, yes, we did a live with, thank you, Barbara. Barbara's here in the background driving the show. We did a live with Rhonda over at Schmetz last week talking about what needles are best for you. So if you are curious about digging into some more information about needles, please go ahead and check out that video. We have a lot of information there. So useful.
Hey, Callie, we forgot to completely talk about the virtual edge-to-edge quilting classes you guys are hosting. I completely forgot about it.
Oh my gosh,
that's going to be, it's going to be August 20th and 21st. And you're going to learn how to quilt using the edge-to-edge technique. And when you're done, we can, as a bonus, we're going to cut everything apart and you're going to get to make 4 placemats. The book has $75 worth of exclusive embroidery designs. And yeah, it's going to be a great day. I will be teaching the whole day, both days. There's a half day to get ready for quilting. We'll embroider our fruit, mark our fabric, and then the second day, we'll spend the full day quilting together.
Yes, and y'all, this class is only $90 to enroll. So please, if you haven't already and you want to learn more and you want to delve into this technique, please go ahead and sign up for that class on our website. It is going to be so fun. It's going to be awesome.
Yes, and you can see the projects behind me, the little placemats that we'll end up making, and the pretty quilting. Pretty. Pineapple. Watermelon. We're going to do it all. But the main thing is you're going to learn, this is just bonus, having placemats from the class. The main thing is you're going to learn how to edge-to-edge quilt, and you will be a pro. You will be a pro at the end of the class.
And y'all, I did just want to point out too, in the description of this video, whether you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, there's a link down there to go ahead and register for this class. So you can just go ahead and scroll down just a little bit and enroll for that class right now. You are not going to want to miss it. It's going to be so, so great.
It's going to be good. I promise.
So let's see. I'm trying to see if we have any other questions over on our end. I've got Vicky wondering if we've been using the designs, will we learn anything new?
If you're already doing edge to edge, you know, I always learn something new anytime I take a class. But I think you just have to make that decision yourself. I mean, I'm teaching the edge to edge technique the way it was intended to be used. And so I would hope that you would learn something new, but
yeah. And then Judy is wondering, is it virtual?
It is virtual, but the first link you get from AllBrands will be a tech check, and all you have to do in your email is click on that link. And my husband, Mark, who's a wonderful teacher, he will definitely keep you awake. He will show you how to use Zoom. Zoom is our platform. If you don't know how to use it, it's super easy to use.
Yes. No, Mark is very tech savvy. He was helping us out with some technical difficulties we had before the show. So shout out to Mark behind the camera.
Yes, keep me up.
And then Brenda on Facebook is wondering, will this work on all embroidery machines?
Yes, all embroidery machines, maybe some of the multi-needles. It might be a little bit, it depends on the multi-needle, but yes, on all home embroidery machines, yes.
Okay. And then someone over on YouTube was wondering, what's that name brand of that metallic thread? That is Star thread from Exquisite. Y'all, that thread is great. That thread is awesome. And I believe that that is also on the category page that we have for this show. So if you go over to our website, go on that category link, it should all be down there so you can shop all the colors. Vicky was also wondering, have you used any of the heavier threads like 28 weight for just quilting like a whole cloth?
No, I pretty much stay away from the heavier threads. I find my embroidery machine just works better when I use the embroidery thread, and the heavier weight threads, I just don't like them. I don't like putting a big 90 top stitch needle and poking big holes in my quilts. No, I kind of stay away from that.
Yeah. Barbara was wondering, will you be making a Baptist fan pattern?
I don't have it insulated, but you know, we're always taking suggestions. That's how we got all the edge to edge designs. People were, oh, and Mark's writing it down right now. People would just write in and say, hey, can we have cars and construction trucks? And we're like, we write them down and we create them. So.
And then Janet over on YouTube is wondering, I love edge to edge. What is that? 3 of my quilting buddies all use these products. I did 8 Christmas quilts this past year. It made my life much easier. I am.
Oh, wow. You're an avid quilter. Wow.
It's so great.
Is.
Yes, Kingstar is the best. Straight up, it is the best. It's awesome.
And yeah, I was actually done with metallic thread. I'd thrown a bunch of it in the trash can. I'm like, I'm done. And then Ashley Jones from Dime was telling me, you should try Kingstar. I'm like, no, I'm not trying any more metallic thread. I'm done with metallic thread. And I tried it. I was like texting her immediately, like, oh my gosh. Okay, I'm doing a quilt. I'm doing a whole quilt.
Game changer, bar none.
Yeah, it really was.
So I think it is time for us to do all three of our giveaways. So make sure that you have liked this video. Make sure that you have shared this video. If you're watching on Facebook, leave us a comment and subscribe to our YouTube channel if you have not done that just yet. And those will enter you in the running for these 3 giveaways. I'm so excited. I'm so excited to see who wins. So I'll give everybody just a quick second to get those comments and everything already in there. And yes, while we're waiting for everybody to do that, if you aren't, go ahead and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Barbara and I have been working really, really hard on getting some in-house video content ready for you guys. As I mentioned earlier, we do have a new video on the weightless quilter from Dime that should be coming out fairly soon. We just finished shooting it and it's so awesome. I am so excited about it. And I'm excited for you all to see it. And if you are curious about any other sort of quilting education, just sewing tips and tricks, we do have some other videos up there as well. We did a video about the cutie frame from Grace, quick unboxing of that. So awesome setup for beginner free motion quilting. Totally great thing to use. And yeah, I just wanted to plug our YouTube channel really quickly. If you're not subscribed already, please go ahead and subscribe. We've got some really awesome things coming, some really cool things in the works. So I think we're ready to pull for our $100 gift card winner. So let's get a little drum roll here. And our winner is Cindy Summer. Oh my gosh, Cindy, congratulations. You have just won a $100 AllBrands gift card. So if you want, please go ahead and email events@allbrands.com and give us your name, your address, and your phone number, and we will get that gift card over to you. $100
Eyes are
AllBrands
so
bucks. You can go shop on our
beautiful.
website, come into one of our stores, pick up some of the stuff that we were talking about today. Totally up to you. So now we are going to pull for our Edge to Edge quilting book that Christine is going to be giving away. So let's see. Let's go ahead and see that name up on the screen. Heather. Oh my gosh. Congratulations, Heather.
Yay!
You have just won Christine's. You've won her Edge to Edge quilting book. I am so excited for you to have this. That's going to be awesome. Heather, if you would also email events@allbrands.com and get us your information, we will get that book out to you. And now we're going to pull for our final one, our final book here. I'm so excited. All right, let's see a name. C. Lombard. Oh my gosh, congrats. Congrats. I've been seeing you in the chat all afternoon. Congratulations. You have just won another one of these books. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited for you guys. So go ahead and also email events@allbrands.com and give us your name, your phone number, and your address, and we will get that out to you as well. Oh my gosh, this has been such an action-packed class. I feel like I've learned a whole lot today. I've learned a bunch.
It's a lot of fun. A lot of fun.
Thank you so much, Christine, for coming on to the show. And please go check out. I'm sorry, words are hard today. But congratulations to all of our winners. Go and check out the category page that we have on our website. We have all of the products that we talked about today over on that category page. And I am so happy that were able to have you on the show today, Christine. Thank you again so very much.
Well, thank you so much for having me. It was just a pleasure for me to come on and talk about my products. So.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I'm so excited for everyone. Please go ahead and sign up for that class. You're not going to want to miss it. It is only $90. You'll be learning so much and so much more than what we talked about just today. It's a wealth of information, just a fountain of knowledge. Definitely go ahead and sign up for that class, and hopefully we'll see you there so you can learn a little bit more about Edge to Edge. So with all of that said, that's the end of the AllBrands show for today. So thank you all so very much for tuning in and for watching the whole way through. If you missed some of this, don't worry. Go ahead and check out the replays of this live, both on Facebook and YouTube. They'll be up as soon as we go off the air, and you can go back and watch anything you missed or anything you want to, really dig into. So that said, everyone take care. Have a great rest of your day. Have a great rest of your week, month, whatever. I love y'all. You're amazing. And we will see you very, very soon. This is the AllBrands Show signing off. Bye, everyone.
Bye.